Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Getting with the Program, talking about episode 15 of season 2 of My Hero Academia, Midoriya and Shigaraki. I hope I pronounced that right. I am, of course, your ever-friendly Pokeprof, joined once again by Kitty Kross
Holy shit, this episode.
and Ashen Sky.
Everybody gets a no move.
Quite literally, but I think we'll hold off on that just a moment. We're really popping around this episode because we're getting to see some of the other heroes and, the students getting along with them. One of my favorite moments being the four-arm hero bruising himself on our two, hard-bodied students. But one of the other major things that we were learning here really came down to the villain side of things, believe it or not. While Deku had a lot of a focus himself, it was mostly with Shigaraki, I believe his name is. Mr. Handsy, as we call him. He was the major focus where he and Stain were basically chatting it up. And we also get a little bit of a hint to what Stain's power might be. We don't know anything about it other than the major thing being that if he injures someone, apparently he can paralyzes them. Because we saw that happen with Negagrilby at the beginning of the episode, and then we see it later on again, to where it's like he's hurt someone and they cannot move. But it looks like it's a limit to it, because only Negagrilby had it happen, whereas Shigaraki was still able to move despite being also cut. But we also learn a lot more other than seeing the fact that Shigaraki and Stain apparently are so separate from each other on the sides of why they're villains and their goals and whatnot that they can't really work together, despite Negro saying, hey, we should work with him, he would help us out. We also then learn a little bit more about Nomu. In particular, Nomu being originally a low-level thug that was fused together with apparently the DNA of 4 other people to result in what we've seen in the last season. And then the revelation comes a little later that he's the first of many.
It's also the first mention of
The idea that somebody else has the ability to pass on quirks.
Mm-hmm. Now
And
here's...
apparently, All Might has an inkling as to who that is.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's more than an inkling.
He knows exactly who is able to do that. And I've got a couple of theories, if I may go all Jesse Cox on you guys.
Oh, by all means, entertain me.
My first theory is it's going to be a corruption in a way of One for All, to where instead of willingly giving it down like All Might can with One for All and apparently his predecessors, this guy's going to be able to take powers away and then give them out as he sees fit. That would be my guess. It's like, I mean, I could see that as being a kind of power.
I have another theory.
Go for it.
Since All Might seems to clearly have an idea who's behind this, what if All Might was not the first or only one to be considered as a candidate for One for All?
That's not possible.
Hmm.
Once it's passed on, it's gone.
Ah, okay. I didn't know that was a specific thing about the power.
He's stated it before.
I wasn't completely clear, so.
Yeah, no worries. But that would be my guess. It's because we've seen stuff like that in other shows before, where you have characters. It's like hell, Rogue from the X-Men is a perfect example. It's just like she can take powers away by touching people for long enough.
Well, and not take them away completely. Like she can.
She just drains their energy.
I mean, Miss Marvel would like to beg to differ, but still.
Miss Marvel sucks.
Ooh, strong words. But that's
neither here nor there.
Yeah, but that's one of my guesses. But my other guess is that if I'm wrong about that for it's like someone who has kind of like that ability to where like where One for All can be given willingly, It's like somebody else might have the ability to take powers for themselves and then give them out as they see fit, which would make sense because we learn from the investigator friend of All Might that even then there should be no physical way somebody should have multiple powers. And matter of fact, that's one of the reasons why Nomu seems to be completely mindless otherwise and hasn't been a threat, because the strain on the mind is too much to have all those powers at once.
Basically, Nomu can't do anything without being told to.
And that goes on to his brothers in arms, who all have that same exposed brain. So I think that also goes along with the theme. But here's my other theory. If I'm wrong about this alternative, like, version of One for All, I'm calling it a version for One of All, just One for All, simply because, it's like, I'm not sure how else you would describe it. Because One for All is the only power we've seen that can be passed on.
There's a certain way you can describe it, but I'm not saying shit.
Well, in that case, maybe you could call it All for One.
You could. You really freaking could. But going off that, because this is just a random crackpot theory. I could be 100% wrong or 100% right. We don't know.
It's okay. It's all right for you to Jesse out.
My other Jesse theory here, and if you haven't seen Jesse Cox, go check him out. He's a really good YouTuber. Ad. My other theory is it could be the villain that left All Might with the wound in his side.
Yeah, that's a good point too.
Or they could be one and the same. That's just some of my theories.
Well, like I said, I'm not saying anything anyway. You're gonna have to find out yourself.
I know. This is just crackpot theories, but honestly, Hunt, I really like that though. The idea of it being the reverse is one for all, meaning you're there for everyone. And that's, you can give the power willingly. It's all about being the hero. That's one for all, and then all for one. It's like all for me. It's like, I really hope they go and do something like that in this series. That would be so freaking cool. And if not, I'm gonna be so writing a fanfic about that. I'm not even joking here. I must. Actually, I'll be entirely honest. Actually, what I would love to see now, even if it's just in fanfiction form, Shigaraki as a hero.
Ugh.
I mean, I'm sorry. Thanks to our mind control friend from the tournament, and of just some of these few other powers that you would normally not see on heroes, it would be really interesting to see a decay-based hero. A hero who's all about the fact that his powers will be able to break down and destroy. It's like, how would you go and be a hero with that kind of power? And it's just an interesting little idea that just popped into my head. And it's because this show is so good and like produces those kind of thoughts that make you really want to go, would this be possible? Would this work? It's like, or how would this work? Or in what situation would it work out in? It's like, this is the kind of stuff I love because it's where you're always going and asking questions and trying to put the puzzle pieces together, because they take the puzzle pieces that we know so well from all this other shonen anime and then flip them up in the air and grab them as they see fit. You don't see it that often, and it's so wonderful not to know what the hell's gonna happen next. If you couldn't tell, I'm happy.
I'm sorry. You said you talking about like you're not joking about writing a fanfic.
I mean, I'm sorry if people haven't figured it out by this point just by my name and gone over to like fanfiction.net or hell fanfiction.net. I've written fanfiction. I am going to wear that as a badge of honor. I feel like it is something that should be pursued if people want to and can eventually make money out of it. Hint, hint, Star Wars, hint, hint, MLP. But it's like, this is not new information. Hello, I have a YouTube channel where we're talking about video games, anime, and cartoons. Of course, I'm a frickin' nerd. This is not new information. But the actual episode really settles into oh crap territory when Shigaraki goes and releases 3 Nomu Yeah, he leaves the house and releases 3 Nomu onto the city.
Was it 3 or 4?
3.
3.
One with wings and the ability of flight at the very least. And considering how hard it was for our heroes to take down one Nomu, I'm a little worried. I mean, these 3 clearly aren't as strong because the OG Nomu was bigger than All Might, and these guys don't look to be anywhere near as tough. But that's no guarantee they're not going to be hard as heck to hit down, and we already know if they are like Nomu.
Should already mention the fact that both Deku and Gran Torino got caught in the middle of it because one of them smashed into the train they were riding.
All right next to Hosu City, where Ida goes and finds Stain. And to the point where he has basically challenged Stain and even took on his brother's name for this. It's like he suddenly felt like he was worthy enough to take Ingenium. And I fully expect him to get hurt real bad in this because it's Stain and he's still a Greenhorn hero. I'm just
Ida is, yeah.
Yeah, that's my point. Ida is, and I'm really worried about him. Ooh, I actually have another theory.
Okay.
I'm sorry. This is what shows like this do to me. When I'm excited, it's like I go immediately into fanfiction territory and think of all the different little things I can do. Here's a theory I have. What if Nomu is an acronym? What if it's actually stands for something? And because it's like there has to be some importance to the name.
Yeah, considering you refer to the other ones as Nomus as well, like a plural.
I mean, you gotta call them something.
I mean, true, you gotta call them something, but there has to be a reason behind it. It's like it just making up the name on the spot doesn't always really work. So I'm thinking there might be for a reason for it. But
maybe, who knows?
Maybe. But it also goes and tells you, what the episode really was like and, how excited you are for it when the focus is majorly on the villains, which is something we really haven't seen in the show as of yet. And I'm really curious just about how things are going to go. I'm worried about Ida because he's right next to Stain. And, Ida's good, but I think Stain's going to clearly have a little bit of fun there. And I'm not sure how Deku and Gran Torino are going to be doing it either.
We'll have to watch it and see. Because this left it off at a tense cliffhanger. I really want to see what happens next.
Cliffhanger, he's hanging from the cliff.
And poor Sky here is like one of the main reasons Sky has actually been quiet for some of these reviews when it comes to My Hero is simply the fact that he is biting his tongue trying not to spoil so many different things.
If I talk out, things will slip.
Yeah, he has done that before for other content. So he's like, that is usually why he'll come in with quips and jokes every once in a while, but then he'll say, I'm not saying crap. Oh my goodness. But I am really, really curious to see how things are going to go out. And, I'm worried about our heroes because here's the cool thing. We have seen the characters keep their scars. Every single time we've seen Deku's hand, he's had those scars now. So that has become a permanent fixture of his character. And
we found out apparently the school, whoever is in charge of making the costumes when they repaired Deku's, they made some alterations.
Yeah, he doesn't have the plastic mouthpiece anymore. It's all metal.
Yeah, and it doesn't look like the grin like it used to, nor does he have the ears thing going on anymore.
The ears are still on his back, aren't they?
Like the grin.
What was that, Sky?
The middle piece is a giant grin.
It didn't look like it to me.
It's the teeth.
I mean, it is supposed to be the
cover.
It is supposed to be the teeth, but we haven't seen Deku put his rabbit ears back on pretty much since he first got the costume. So, which I'll be entirely honest, it's like out of the entire design for Deku's costume, that's like the one part I had. Hey, it's like, no, you are not the rabbit girl that is later introduced into the series. Also, breathing in your mic, Sky.
got
what-
a fanboy at my direction.
No worries. I just wonder what that canter is at now. Because I just hope Future Prof has been keeping an eye on that. Oh boy. Any final thoughts before we move on?
Nope.
You're in for a wild ride.
I think we've already established we're on the wildest of rides. Now we just gotta find out where Mr. Toad's gonna be taking us next.
Froppy's nowhere to be seen.
You don't get the reference.
I get the reference. Wind in the Willows. I know. We're being silly.
But with all that said, I think we'll go ahead and end it off here. And until then, my friends, stay frosty.
See y'all later.
Buckle up for safety.